Dr. John LaPook, let's come back to some of these really insightful questions that have come from our viewers onto our Facebook page. Jennifer Stovall wrote, can a normal, healthy person fight off Ebola, or does a healthy immune system not matter?
No, actually, in the first 9 months experience that the New England Journal published about 2 weeks ago, it turns out that the younger people do better. The older you are, the worse you do. But you can survive, and what's interesting is we have about a 50% survival rate, depending upon the statistics you believe. And that gives us an unprecedented new tool, which is you've got 50% of those people who are probably immune to Ebola, and people are talking about using them for all sorts of reasons, including going in and taking care of people who potentially have Ebola.
Now, the fatality rate in West Africa under relatively primitive medical conditions is about 50%. What would you expect here in the United States with modern medicine?
I think dramatically lower. I mean, we've had 6 people treated in America. We do, unfortunately, have 1 death. The other 5 have not died. And as Dr. Paul Farmer told me very eloquently, Ebola has never collided with modern medicine. And what that means is that in something like Ebola, the way it kills you, the way it devastates your body, is by initially turning off your own immune system and also creating an inflammatory response throughout the body that wreaks havoc. And one of the things that happens, you get profuse diarrhea. I mean, I'm talking about liters and liters of fluid lost a day. What that means is you can get dehydration, lack of blood flow to key organs, and that can cause organ failure and death. Now, we know how to treat shock. We know how to treat dehydration. You give intravenous fluids, you give electrolytes, and if there's problems with bleeding, you can give clotting factors. They haven't had that luxury of that kind of treatment in West Africa. So I expect, and Dr. Ribner, who was the head of the team in Emory who treated the people who were infected there, felt the same way. He said to me, I expect it to be dramatically lower here in the United States.
So that you essentially have to let the virus run its course, because there's no way to kill the virus, but all of those terrible symptoms that cause death are well handled and well treated in our modern hospitals.
You can treat the symptoms, but sometimes the infection does overpower the body. Now, there are some experimental treatments. There's one treatment that Mr. Duncan did get that works by stopping the virus from replicating. Another experimental treatment is being used that stops the genetic material, the RNA, from creating proteins. So even though you're not stopping the virus from replicating, you're stopping the normal machinery of the virus, and it can help it that way. Then there are, you heard about ZMapp, and that's an antibody that attaches itself to the virus and stops it from entering the cell in the first place. So you're having this multi-pronged attack against the virus. We're not sure which of these is going to work. And then, of course, you've got the vaccine development, which I think is going to be very important. But I spoke to some experts about this. Nobody expects there to be enough significant amount of vaccine or treatment to be helpful in the next 3 or 4 months.